All right, Chris, I want to ask you this before we get to the big games on Saturday. We do have so we've had 2 consecutive Fridays now. Obviously, there's no NFL, but no baseball postseason either. So I don't know if you're like me, but like for those of us who are just have no lives and just want to bet sports, Friday you just sort of like walk around aimlessly. But we do have 3 college football games tonight: Tulane, Memphis, Stanford, Colorado, prime against Stanford here, and Fresno State, Utah State. Do you have anything on any of these 3 games today?
I know Will Hill on the Bear Bets pod made a good case for Stanford on the pod, and I don't know if I could get there just because Stanford is so inept offensively, but the Colorado defense certainly isn't very good. I guess if anything tonight, I might lay the 4.5 with Tulane against Memphis. Might be the one that I like the most. I don't know how great this Memphis team really is, and I think as the year goes on, Pratt's getting healthier, and I think Tulane is just better than Memphis. And it's not like it's up to 5 now. I see it's not like there's a massive home field edge for the Tigers in Memphis. So of all of those games tonight, I guess I would like Tulane minus the 5 best.
Okay. But I forced you to answer that question. It's not like you have a player. It's not in your betting account.
Yeah, nothing that I have played. Maybe we'll be sitting here. Actually, I'm in a casino right now. I'm at the Four Winds Casino in South Bend, Indiana, is where we're staying for Big Noon this week prior to Notre Dame. So I might have to maybe kick that game in downstairs later tonight.
Well, let's talk about that then. USC Notre Dame, which traditionally is one of the great non-conference rivalries in the history of college football. Notre Dame 5-2 now, having gotten beat by Louisville, and USC in a late-night thriller ekes by Arizona in overtime, 42-40. They remain undefeated. Will they be undefeated for much longer, I guess is the question.
I don't like the game. I guess if I had to play something here, I might look at the under 59.5. I know the SC defense has been really bad, but I'm not sure if Zach Branch is going to play for the Trojans, and that clearly will hinder their offense against the best defense that they've faced this year. I think Notre Dame's obviously their best chance to win is shorten this game, run behind Estime, get those tight ends involved, and just kind of keep Caleb Williams and that SC offense off the field. So, look, I know it's one of those odd lines where the 2-loss team is favored over the 6-0. We're on top 10 team, I guess they are now. But typically, when you see that, those undefeated teams typically go down. If you go back in the college football playoff era, there's the 6-0 teams that have been an underdog to a team with at least 2 losses. 11 of the 14 have lost. So I don't know if I want to call SC an underdog with fleas or not. I don't know how much of a case has been made for the Trojans since then. But if I had to play something tomorrow night, I would look at the under, anticipating some precipitation and maybe some boggy-like conditions.
59.5, that number that we're showing up on the screen. All right, what about the Pac-12 clash? Beyond USC, there are 2 other undefeateds in the Pac-12. Of course, that's Oregon and Washington. Bo Nix, Michael Penix. This is at UW. The Huskies are 3-point favorites. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, a lot of people making the case for Oregon in this game, and I don't disagree with it. I think Oregon probably is better up front on both sides of the ball, but obviously you do have a road game in a very hostile environment, and I think with Washington at home and that receiving core, can they get this game into a track meet? I think that's what UW is really looking for, whereas Oregon, I think, is more content to kind of lean on that ground game and try and shorten this game as well. If I had to play the game, I would side with most people and take Oregon plus the points. But really, no, would it surprise me if UW won this game by double digits? No. I'm sorry for being wishy-washy. I don't have a real strong feel. But if you're in one of those pick'em contests where you just had to kind of circle a team, I would go with Oregon, who I do think is the better team and has kind of been pissed off for about a year the way they let that game last year get away.
Random aside, because Futak said it was Bo Nix, and I challenged him on this. But who's the better pro prospect between those 2 quarterbacks?
I would think it's probably Penix. I think his ability to throw, I think, is better than Bo Nix. Now, I'm sure everyone's going to dissect every single play of every game as we get down to silly season and draft talk. But I would think Penix would have a better chance to succeed than Bo Nix, don't you?
I would, yeah. That's why I was like so curious that he said that. Then he kind of backtracked on it, so I should say
of course he did.
He did. He did sort of
we loved it.
Moonwalk after that. All right, I'll stop throwing them out. What are your favorite bets of the weekend?
Yeah, I like LSU minus the 11 against Auburn. I know the LSU defense is horrible, but at the same time, you're going against an Auburn passing game right now, which is kind of prehistoric, anemic, whatever the adjective is that you want to use to describe it. And that's good because LSU's weakness on defense is their secondary, which is depleted and shorthanded. In 3 games against Power 5 teams this year, Auburn has thrown for 238 yards in those 3 games. Like, they don't have the playmakers. They don't have the quarterback.
That's total. That's not an average. That's total.
Yeah. 238 total in those 3 games. So I don't see any way they can match LSU point for point here. So I'm going to lay the 11 with LSU in this game. And then another double-digit favorite that I like as well is Air Force against Wyoming. I think a lot of people before the year, I can't remember who was Brad Powers. It might have been Paul Stone as well. Very, very high on Air Force. And it's manifested. Air Force has been dominant. They blew out San Diego State a couple of weeks back. The only caveat here might be if you're worried about going to Annapolis next week, maybe they're looking ahead to the CIC game. But this is an undefeated team. But they got a chance to run the table here. Maybe this is a Mountain West Conference preview game. But if you look at Wyoming, like, their rush defense has kind of been a little shaky at times. They gave up like 8 yards a carry against New Mexico, who is not a very good team. Over 210 yards on the ground to App State. So I think their inability potentially to get this Air Force attack off the field could be a problem. So I lay the double digits with Air Force and a couple of ugly dogs potentially as well. I took Syracuse plus 17.5 against FSU. I know I was on the absolute wrong side last week. I see Kelly shaking his head as well. Very, 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 very mean of me.
Wrong side.
Mean of you to disagree. Very mean of you to disagree with my pick.
Called him out. But, that's awesome.
Seriously, like, if you look at Florida State, since that dominant second half against LSU, they nearly gave a game away against BC. The Clemson game, Dabo helped Florida State immensely with some mismanagement in that game. And even the Virginia Tech game last week, they got up 3 scores early. You think they're going to sail. Next thing you know, you look up at the 5-point game in the third quarter before they ultimately pulled away again. Syracuse was so bad last week that you'd think that this is a good opportunity for the Orange to play a top 5 team on the road as a big underdog and kind of say, hey, you know what? We're not as bad as we indicated last week. So I took Syracuse plus the points. Remember, too, FSU has that big game against Duke next week. Not that maybe FSU is looking ahead to that game, but you could maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit late in that game if indeed you are double digits. And because I kind of ridiculed Kelly's alma mater, I'm going to ridicule my own here. Miami, what that was last week was malpractice, inexcusable. You'll never see another loss like that, I'm sure, again. However, in this game of college football that we all love so much, the most this is college football result of the weekend would be Miami going to Chapel Hill and winning.
Wow.
I took Miami plus the 4 here.
Wow.
I think this is a great chance for them to get back in the ACC race. So I did back my Canes here plus 4.
Oh, you faked me out. I thought you were going to fade them. Okay, you're backing them. All right.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.